It's currently 34 degrees. It's absolutely red hot. We've got all the doors open. We're trying to keep it nice and cool. However, I'm still going to go out there to fish. And that beautiful spot there is where I'm going to spend the last 2 or 3 hours of today, just to get a feel for what we might be catching out there. It's much cooler down here on the ground level, but the heat hits you when you come outside. That looks very inviting, I've got to admit. And here we are. It's probably 4:30 now, so it's cooled down quite a bit from what it was like, but here's the spot. I've got a huge platform, I've got loads of water, I've got my gear out, I haven't mixed the bait up yet, and you're probably wondering what this is all about, especially when you see those two things there, that setup and that all coupled with all this. Well, this is the first video in a new series. Well, it's been a very long, I was going to say a long day, but it's been a very long 24 hours. I fished a major competition on Saturday. We then travelled direct from that competition to Peterborough, where we spent the night. We then had a 3-hour drive to Folkestone. We crossed through the Channel Tunnel, and then we had a 7-hour drive from Calais right down into the south of France, where we stayed for 1 night, and then we stayed there and then travelled there to here, which took 3 hours. And this is where we're going to be spending the next 5 days. I'm actually going to get a chance to fish 4.5 days if you include this. And in case you're wondering what this is all about, this is the first in a new series of random adventures. These are some of the videos I've been wanting to produce for a number of years, and it's just where we're just going to be visiting different areas all over, or certainly all over England, and occasionally into Europe as well, when and where possible. And that's why I'm here today. We're going to be fishing the River Lot. Now, the reason why this is going to be such an interesting little adventure is because this venue only really gets specimen fished. There are carp in here of excess, certainly 40 pound plus. I don't know if they're going to 50s, but there are also catfish. There was a catfish caught here, 140 pound just last week. So it's a real mixed specimen water. However, there are lots of silverfish out there. I've been told there are roach here, there are bream, there are bass, there are zander, and the way that I'm going to fish it, certainly this afternoon, has never really been done before, so it's a bit of an unknown entity, and that's why it should be very interesting. I'm going to see what's going to happen today, and then I'm going to be doing some other things throughout the next 3 days. I've got some catfish gear, I've got some big carp gear, I've got all my normal match gear, and based on what I see in the next few hours will determine what I'm going to be doing through the next few days. So it's just starting to cool down. I'm going to put some bait in, just going to fish with maggots and corn to start with. This 3 or 4 hour session is just to get a feel for what's out there. I've just had my first cast and I had a couple of quick bangs. 4 maggots on, a 12. So number 12, MXB2, 015. How on earth has that been hooked? But there we go. I suppose that is my first River Lot fish. I told you it was full of monsters, didn't I? What we got here? Finally got something. 4 maggots again. That's a hybrid, isn't it? 4 maggots, that. 4 white maggots. Great bite, just hooked itself. Open-ended feeder. But yeah, that's great to see. Getting some bait going in now. Well, I came off one then. Any ideas what that might have been? I think that's telling us that that was a bream. Possibly foul looked, but definitely getting more indications now there's more bait going in. Just underarming it to there. That's only about 12 metres. I'm letting it fall straight down. That's actually in 5 seconds of depth with a 30 gram bomb. So 5 seconds in relation to what we've got is not far past that. It goes to 10 seconds deep. And then just short of the middle, it's 15 seconds deep. So it's very deep out there. So 5 seconds feels about right. I'm definitely getting more indications now. Just got four white maggots on, still on a 12. I'm just trying to get a feel for what's there. There's quite a few rudd swimming past me, really shallow little rudd. There's definitely one or two more fish topping now. There are some bass about. I've seen one or two splashing out there, but no signs of carp or anything like that. But if no bait's gone in, then that's exactly what tonight's about, just to get a bit of bait in, fish with maggots, see what's there. We've had some signs already, so what I'll do is just get some bait in. When I leave it tonight, if it doesn't get going, when I leave it tonight, I'm going to put some bait out there ready for tomorrow morning. Well, that nearly pulled the rod in, that one. It's more of a proper skimmer, that one, isn't it? There we go. There's two encouraging signs. Nearly pulled the rod in though, that one. Really wanted those maggots. So that's good, they're responding to that feed. Just got 4 dead white maggots on, as you can see. Open-ended plastic feeder. Just because it's so deep, I want to get my bait down. Just putting a few maggots in, a few casters, and some of this very large maize. Can't believe how much bigger it is than the actual sweet corn. I didn't realise there was so much difference. This is what the owners actually prepared for me, in case I want to go for those carp or bigger bream. So I've got 25 kilos of that that's actually been done. I'll show you that a little bit later, tell you how he's prepared it, and I'll obviously keep trying it on the hook. But that is obviously one of the staple baits that they put in here when they're coming here for the carp, so the fish here know what it is. Yes, that feels a bit better. Got to try and make sure we get this out just to see what it is. Let's have a look. Is it a bream? Or it's a skimmer? Or a little bream, as we're meant to say. Yes! Well, there are some there. It's taken a while to get some indications, but as you saw, that wasn't in long. In fantastic condition. That's beautiful fish, that one, isn't it? When they're taking it so quickly like that, they're obviously on it, so beautiful. There are worse places to be catching skimmers, aren't they? On a beautiful evening like this. Off we go, mate. Tell all your friends. So the rig I'm using, I've got a 12-foot distance up, 90 gram, free running rig. So I've got the 8-pound main line. I've got a stopper just there, so I can turn it into a bolt rig if I wish. But I've got that slid up out of the way for the moment. And then below that, all I've got is a snap link swivel, which is free running, as you can see. Might as well clip the feeder. Below that, I've got a number 4 stot, and then I've just got a small, short length piece of line of about, I don't know, 10 centimeters, and that's where I tie the hook length loop to loop. Mega simple rig, it's free running, and if small fish are there, like those hybrids or roach that I've heard about on rudd, I can slide that rubber right the way down there to create a bolt rig. When I said I thought they were liners and indications, just look at the state of the line. There are lots of fish down there, and even round the hook itself, round the maggots. So there are fish down there. So as regards trying to get a feel for what's here and what's out there, it's encouraging now. It's just a case now of whether the last thing for this evening, before I call it a day, it's been a long day, is just to find out if there's a possibility of hooking one of the proper fish at such short range. I know they fish under the other bank for a lot of fish here for the carp and catfish, but that's 180 meters away. I have got gear here to do that. I've got a boat, I've got rods, I've got bike leads. I can present rigs out there, but that's not an avenue I want to go down, to be honest, because I'd rather catch them on more familiar tactics. So I'm just hoping that before that sun goes down, before we retire for the evening and get some food, I'm just hoping that we're going to see some sign of a bonus fish on this line before we call it a day, and that would definitely be the icing on the cake. That was a quick bite, wasn't it? Let's see what this one is. It's great when you don't know what you're going to be hooking. I love it. On a skimmer, is it, or a hybrid? Let's have a look. this landing net handle is red hot, it's burning my hand. There we go, I've just changed that feeder to a 30 grammer. Get that. Well, I think it's answered all the questions as regards the bream side of things. It's taken probably 40 minutes of putting bait in, but why would they be in front of this peg, you know? But yeah, immaculate condition. 4 maggots right in the bottom lip. Fantastic. I think he's on. Hey? I think that's a little skimmer. And it kited right round to the left. Wow. He's still going. He's going right down that. I'll have to tighten that up a bit. Oh, he's gone right round those bushes.
Yeah.
We
might have to play this
out. Oh, he's off.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's a taster of what's to come, I think. It's broke me, but I don't know if it's broke me properly or whether it's just cut me off. Yeah, well. Well, you saw that was a proper bite. That was on 0.15 to a size 12 hook. Obviously, if I'm going to be hooking fish like that, I can't afford to let them run like that, but that was a little bit unexpected. I thought it was just going to be a skimmer session. But it's very encouraging because it's showing that line, obviously we can hook big fish on that line, which is really encouraging. And I haven't put any pellets or anything in. All I've put in is dead maggots, casters, and that maize. And I haven't put a lot of maize, and that was on 4 maggots, which you can hook anything on. So that is hugely encouraging for this week. This is just a bit of a taster of what's coming over the next 4 sessions. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's not a bream. Let's try and get on the platform there. Look at the size of that. Yes! Got it! Oh! And the battery was just about to go on that. I'm not even going to try and guess the weight of it, but let's have a look. Yes! Got it! Oh! And the battery was just about to go on that. I'm not even going to try and guess the weight of it, but let's have a look. Well, it was an incredibly hot night last night. It's just gone 10 o'clock. We had a bit of a relaxing evening last night. Just watched a bit of TV. Got the air conditioning on. After yesterday, obviously you saw what happened on that short session. There are some bream out there. I don't know, what the quantity of bream are, but it's another beautiful morning. The sun is out. I've just checked on the temperature gauge. It's not far off 30 degrees already. So I'm going to fish the same swim today. I'm going to fish there. I have already put some bait out there. I put some maize out there, just on that same spot. There is some fizzing going on there now, so I think there are some skimmers and bream there possibly. So I think the aim for today is I'm going to fish the same spot. I'm going to focus on those bigger baits. I'm going to fish with them on a hair rig. I think I didn't do that yesterday. I was just mounting them on the hook normally, just hooking them, and I don't think that's the best way of presenting it. And I think the aim is just going to see what kind of number of bream there are there, see if there are any really big bream. And obviously after yesterday, what I kind of learnt, that I could catch those bream and catch fish on that heavy gear as well. It's almost what we would refer to as barbel fishing gear. So hopefully by being able to use that sort of kit, it's going to give me half a chance of landing any of the monsters that do live in this part of the river. So I'm going to get some gear out. It's going to be red hot again, so I'm going to get some bait in and then just see what response we get. If it gets too hot during the middle of the day and it slows down, I'll probably just have a break for an hour or two, and then obviously convene later on in the afternoon, when I think that's going to be the best time to target these fish anyway when it cools down a little bit. So yeah, I think it's going to be another exciting day. As you can imagine, the shady parts of the river, when we look at the temperatures that we're at now, this river, there's very little flow. It's summer fishing, it's red hot. This stretch of the river, I've been told, is actually controlled because of dams at either side. So this stays the same level or thereabouts, whereas other parts of the river, like the natural part of the river, are really, really low at the moment. But look at this peg, look how sheltered this is. You can see it's in the shade already. It looks a beautiful spot. And I think we've got a bit of a margin down this left hand side that looks nice. Little fish topping. Look at that for a margin. It's so much cooler here. Obviously it's in the shade at the moment. And this is an area I'm thinking I may pre-bait down this side to fish late one evening. There's all sorts of noises around here, little animals in the trees and all sorts, but this is a spot that I'm possibly going to target in a day or two, so I think I'm going to pre-bait it down this margin, because this is the last peg, you see. There isn't any other houses or villas going that way, right down to the bridge. So any sort of carp, or particularly carp, but obviously catfish as well if there are any that are going to oblige, this is the first kind of spot that they get to, so it looks ideal. But that's something I'm going to target a little bit later on in the week. I'm on the same peg as yesterday. I'm going to fish with the same mix, just 50-50, that's it. There's no reason to change it. Caught bream on that yesterday. There's loads of ground crushed pellets in that, and just fish the same spot. I'm going to put more of the maize through, present it a little bit differently. I'm fishing it on a free running rig again, so all I basically got is 12-foot distance, Horizon Pro, 90 gram, 12-foot rod. It's a fantastic river rod. We'll see if it can cope with big fish if we hook any. And then I've just got a free running feeder, 30 gram, which is a little bit heavy for where I'm fishing, but it is 5 seconds deep. It's in excess of 20 feet deep. I want to get it down nice and quickly. I've just got that stopped with a number 4 stop. There we go, as you can see. And then I've got it's actually an 8-pound barbel hook length that I've actually got on there, just attached loop to loop, and that is it. Super simple rig. And then I'll just obviously switch. I'm going to switch from a normal hook to an air rig, a hair rig, so that's what I think is going to be a better way of presenting it. So after yesterday we could see how many small fish there were. There were some small fish, some small skimmers or little hybrids or pommies or whatever you want to call them. I don't really want to be fishing for them today. I want to make the most of this session and the time that I'm here to try and catch 1 or 2 bigger fish. So the changes I've made from yesterday, the key changes is I've shortened the hook length, because I did get some liners from fish, as you probably saw yesterday. I was getting slime on the line and lots of indications there were small fish around those maggots and casters that I was feeding. So all I'm going to feed today is maize and ground bait. Okay, this maize is basically like sweet corn, but it is much bigger and it's tougher as well. But it's been soaked. It was soaked and then it was boiled basically, or cooked, just in a big pan. It was taken up to 100 degrees temperature and then just switched off and just left. So it's very, very firm, and but it's still soft enough to get a speed stop through. So I've just got that on a speed stop, 1 grain. That is a size it's a size 10 hook I've got on now, and that is it. That's all I'm going to feed. I'm going to be feeding that through a ground bait feeder. There is a bit of fizzing out there now, so I'm expecting getting some indications, even if it's from small fish. And that is it. I'm going to fish on that one spot, underarm, just to give you an idea of range. It's about 12 meters from the bank in a 5-second count. I'm not clipped up, as you'd probably expect fishing a venue like this. I have got the drag undone as well, in case I hook anything that just wants to run. And that is it. I'm going to keep it really simple today. There we go, indication straight away there. So like I say, some of that fizzing could be from little fish, but having said that, yeah, I'm getting indications there straight away. But having said that, I haven't fed maggots and casters like I did yesterday, so whatever fish they are, they have come to the maize. So hopefully that will mean that they're not really small. Well, there we go. Oh, I just pricked that one, I think. Yeah, that looked a positive pull, but because I've only fed maize, I'm obviously hoping that means that they are going to be a better stamp fish, but I'm not on a time scale today. That big fish I hooked yesterday it was after 6 o'clock, So I'm obviously prepared to go right the way through today. There may be small fish, but that's the idea of fishing with a bigger bait. If they can't quite get it in the mouth, swallow the maize and the hook as well, because that covers that sort of distance. That one's on. Let's see what we've got. Feels like probably a skimmer, this one, a big skimmer. Yeah, I can see that one shining in that clear water. There we go. Not one of the big ones, but a great start. Immaculate condition. There we go, just on that single piece of maize, right in the bottom lip, right in the middle. Superb condition. But they're not too small to take the maize, are they? But yesterday we did catch some bigger than that. But obviously we'll see how it goes. And obviously if we have to change to try and find something bigger, then we will. That one's on. Yes, that feels a bit bigger. Much better pull that, you could see that one was on. Feels like a bigger bream, this one. Coming up from the depths of the kingfisher. Just gone past. Yeah, he's a bigger fish. Look at that one. Right in the middle of the bottom lip. Great start. If I keep catching those, obviously I can try a couple of pieces on just to try and pick out bigger fish. Other bait options with me. So I didn't really know what to expect. So I have got some big boilies. So if you want to be a little bit more selective, if you want to try and pick out a carp, like I say, I'm still getting to grips with the venue and with the peg. I don't really know what the chances of hooking a carp is going to be. The big fish I lost yesterday, I don't know if that was a carp. It could have been a catfish. So I'm not really going to know what the chances of hooking a carp is going to be. So I'm just going to continue doing this for a while. Let's just see if the bream continue, see if we pick up anything bigger in between. And then if we've got to be a little bit more selective to see if we can get a carp or something else, then I'll break out the big boilies, big wafters, and see if we can be a bit more selective with bigger baits. Certainly on it now. Taking a bit of maize, that one. Fantastic catching them all day in the sunshine in beautiful surroundings. Can't get much better than that. Mad for the maize. Yeah, he's the heaviest one so far today. Just get my hand around that one. Look how long that one is. Well, it's the hottest part of the day now, so I'm just retreating out of that sun. Time for a little bit of a snack. Petit pain with some cream cheese on and some crisps. So just gonna have half an hour, bit of a break, and what I'm gonna do is I'm actually getting a bream now every single cast, which is great. Obviously it's nice fishing, but it'd be nice to target some other species. So I'm gonna keep feeding maize on that line where I'm feeding with ground bait. If that's gonna hold a bream, then that might help me target somewhere else with a bigger bait. So I'm just gonna have some lunch, and then I'm gonna have a look at some of the big boilies that I've got and just see if we can try and find some sort of an approach that might give us a better chance of hooking a big carp. Well, that was a lovely little break for lunch. I'm still putting maize out there while I've been fishing. I've just put some more maize out there, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit. This is such a great opportunity for me to try and catch a big carp or possibly a catfish, but we'll see what happens. So what I'm going to do is, I've obviously got some fish feeding there, so I'm just going to step up the hook bait. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bigger hook on. I've got some bigger baits here. They're like a 12 mil wafter. I have got some 15 mils as well, just to try and be a bit more selective. We might still get played with bream, but we don't know unless we try, do we? But I'm going to step up because it's a bigger hook bait. I'm going to step up to a size 8 hook, a really strong hook. You can use barbed hooks here, so it's a really strong hook, and I'm stepping up as well to a 16-pound hook length, which is really tough as well. So obviously, you know, I'm hoping I'm going to catch something of substantial size. Hooked a big fish yesterday, and obviously I was on 0.15 hook length, and whilst it ran for quite a while. As soon as I tightened up the drag to get control of it, as soon as I put any sort of amount of pressure on it, the hook length broke. Now that could have cut me off on snags, I don't know, that's what we're always going to be up against, so that's why I'm going to fish these with a 16-pound breaking strain hook length. So I'm going to get one of these tied up now, get a big 12mm boil, well, it's a 12mm wafter actually, a pineapple flavour, and just fish that over the top of that maize that I've been putting in. If a bream swallows that, it deserves to get caught. That's not a bream. That's not a bream. That's a much heavier fish. He's going down to my left, but I need him to stay out of these snags. I've got heavier gear on this time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold it. I don't know if we're going to be seeing this one. Come on, stop. At least stop. And give us a chance. That's it. He's going out. He's a long way down, but he's gone a little bit further out into the river. He's heading for the bridge, I think. He's gone out from the margin anyway. He's still running, but he is heading out. Oh, look at the size of that. Oh, he's trying to get on the platform now. Look at the size of that. Look at it really. It was, but then no. Yes! Got it! And the battery was just about to go on that. That's what we came for. I'm not even going to try and guess the weight of it, but let's have a look. £37. Feels like it was £37 as well. Well, this is why we've come to France. We knew it was going to be a bit of an adventure. We knew these were here. But obviously, part of the mission and the excitement is to just try and catch them on beefed up match fishing tackle, you know. And I never expected to get something like this. It's going to be difficult to hold. 37 pounder. Absolutely just muscle. You've seen the fight, it just shows what can be landed. What a fantastic end to today. Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring. Just dropping that on the bait runner. The maize, obviously I'm not going to put them all down the same hole. Well, it's the morning of day 3. There's the games room. There's some catfishing gear waiting to get used. There's the cradle that thankfully we used yesterday. Loads of maize left, as you can see. Plenty there to keep us going. No time for pool today, I don't think. It's pretty cool at the moment, but we know it's going to get red hot again. And there's the river, flat calm again. We did get a bit of a breeze on it last night, but that was really late on, not gone 9 o'clock. Not sure if that's going to make any difference whatsoever, but the peg's currently in the shade at the moment. Looks like it's going to be another interesting day. Well, as you can imagine, it's the height of summer. I had a visit from a mosquito. Look at that. I thought I'd done well avoiding them so far, but that one's got me right on the eye. so hopefully that's not going to swell up more. There's a few bubbles coming up here down this margin here, just there. I don't want to go right on the edge. You see where those trees are? Yesterday I actually took time out to, at the end of the session, to actually get the boat out, and I went down that margin. It's only about 4 or 5 meters down to the left, and I actually fed it with some of this. That is what they usually feed here for the carp. In there it's a bit of it's like pigeon conditioner, there's bits of all sorts in there, to be fair, a bit of corn, some maize in there, and I fed that when I packed up yesterday quite heavily. And I also put some maize down there as well. Now my biggest concern about that line is that it's still in relatively, it's not deep water, but I've got a feeling the bream might be there. The bream might have come in and mopped that up, I don't know. So that's what today's going to be all about. It's been an interesting week so far. When we first arrived here, you know, we really got an idea of how many bream there are here and how they can affect the fishing. Yesterday I was fortunate to hook and land a fantastic catfish. That was fantastic on just normal match gear that I use back home for my bream fishing and stuff. And that's part of what this trip's all about, just trying to see what we can hook and potentially land on our day-to-day tattle. So today I'm going to be focusing more than anything down this margin, just to see if we can find a carp. Regardless of what happens, I've got some fish fizzing out there. The main line that I've been fishing is about 12 meters. You could probably just about make out on this camera that there's some fizzing going on there. So I'm more than, you know, expecting to catch bream there if I fish for them, particularly with single maize. If you put single maize on, you can get a bream every single cast, and that's even with heavy gear on. So today is going to be kind of feeling my way into it. I'm going to tattle that margin, and it's going to be all about big baits, I think, where I'm really going to try and target a proper carp. So I've got virtually the same setup as yesterday, just a free running bomb. That's stopped by a number 4 stot, and then I've got the same hook length on as yesterday on a hair rig, and I've actually got 2 pieces of maize on a hair rig. That's what I'm going to kick off with. The same rig that I had on yesterday. The only changes that I've made is I've now got a butt grip to actually grip the rod, because I'm fishing at such short range. I'm obviously fishing with a drag set, you know, loose anyway, so any powerful fish on that hook can power off out of the peg. But I've got the butt holder there, which is going to grip the butt of the rod just in case I get caught off guard. And the other thing I've done is, instead of fishing with a 30-gram bomb, I've actually switched that for a 17.5-gram bottle bomb, just because obviously I don't need all that weight. I'm only casting there. It's quite shallow and there's no flow, so I don't need a heavy bomb. I'm sure if there's bream there, which I strongly suspect, then we'll be getting indications on the tip immediately. Well, there we go, that's gone straight away. I've just had a pull there straight away. It's not hooked, but something's just had a go at that straight away. I'm hoping by fishing with 2 pieces of maize, that's going to deter any really small fish. But yeah, I'm getting indications there now. Is that one on? Yes, we're into a fish straight away. That didn't take long, did it? I'm expecting them bubbles to be bream or skimmers. Is that what it is, or is it? There are hybrids in here as well. Yep, that's what it is. Well, if there were going to be some there, I didn't think they'd come quite as quick as that. And that was on 2 pieces. I thought 2 pieces, if there were bream there, I thought 2 pieces would have taken a little bit longer for a fish like that to take the bait. But well, we're off the mark anyway. We know there's some fish there. Indications there straight away. I'm not going to pick up unless I think the fish is on. We've got really robust bait. It's still fizzing down there. There are obviously lots of bream down there. That tip's just rattling away. That's on. There we go. There's obviously quite a few fish down there already, but it is still really nice and shady down here. These really are beautiful fish. We're not targeting them at the moment, but see that one, 2 pieces of the maize. They're beautiful fish, aren't they? Just going to persevere with it. Just keep dropping it in. I find it hard to believe that when there's so many bream like that feeding in an area that's so, you know, it's undercover, it's near the trees overhanging, it's shady, it's deep, or there's a bit of depth there, I find it hard to believe that that's not going to attract the attentions of carp as well. So just going to persevere for the next half hour or so, see if we keep catching them, or see if we can pick off a bigger fish in between the bream. As soon as the bomb hit the bottom, it nailed it. No messing. Well, I think it's safe to say that there's loads of those down there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I did yesterday before I caught that cat. Is I'm just going to step up the feed. I've got loads of this maize to feed. I've got loads, so I'm going to up the amount that I'm putting in. The reason why I'm doing that is, one is so that to try and help the chances of the bream not mopping everything up. I don't know how many bream are down there, but if I put so much in that they can't eat everything, at least it means that if there's any carp kicking about or catfish, that they're going to get a look in, you know, there's going to be some food there for them, and it might feed them off, I don't know, we'll find out. So I'm going to up the amount that I'm putting in. I'll stick to 2 pieces of maize, and then if that doesn't work, all I'll do then is I'll switch to I've got some 12mm wafters and some 15mm wafters, just like I did yesterday, and just see if that'll pick out any better fish. A good helping of maize down that margin, and I'm going to up the amount now. Obviously it's much easier being able to reach this by hand. Bream again, I think. They're out in force today. I'm going to put another line in, I think. I'm going to feed really heavy back on that 12-metre line where I've fished for the last couple of days, just so I've got 2 spots. These bream are mopping everything up. If I feed heavy in one spot, just there, it might keep a lot of the bream out there and leave this area up. That's the thinking, but it depends how many bream are there. There might simply be so many that they'll be able to cover both areas and dominate. It's worth a try. 12 o'clock lunchtime. I'm going to put a load of gear in at 12 metres, but still keep this line fed, and obviously I can drop on that at any stage. There's the mix. There's 15 balls of ground bait there. In there has gone some of that pigeon conditioner, the stuff that they use for the carp here, and then over the top of that, because I'm only putting it at 12 metres, I'm going to put these 15 balls in there, and then I can loose feed by hand some maize over the top, just by hand. Just feeding them where I can drop a bomb over the top and loose feed the maize. Obviously I'm not going to put them all down the same hole. Spread it over a bit of an area, and it does get deeper past that point, so I'm just dropping them back a little bit shorter. Then over that I can put maize just by the handful. Because this is bigger and heavier than corn, you can obviously throw it further. And that should be enough for a shoulder bream, I reckon. For a while anyway. Jim's just arrived. He's captain. We're heading over there now. We're just going to put this this catfish gear out there. He's the man. He's showing me what to do now. All I've got to do is get on this boat without me swimming. So, sit there, mate. We're in. Okay. We're all motored up for this trip, not like mine down the margins last night. We've got the motor on, life vest on, as you can imagine. Right, what distance is it over here, Jim?
About 150 yards, Jamie.
150 yards. And why, I've got to ask this, why, when we've got all this water in front of us, we've got these amazing features behind me, all down our bank, why are we having to present a bait over here?
Because the main feature is a big tree. You'll see it when we get over there. And the tree's in 20 foot of water.
Right.
There's a lot of branches, and the catfish love to hide in the branches in the day.
Got you.
If you put a live bait or a big pellet close to where they're hiding, they'll just even entice them out.
Got you.
Yeah.
And I've got to ask then, because we're presenting a bait there, could that cause issues if we get a run?
Well, if you fish too close to the snag, yeah, possibly, but we'll fish maybe 20 foot off the snags.
Right.
And we'll fish a real tight clutch when we get back to land. So
got you.
And the catfish, they're not like carp. When a carp head towards a snag, a catfish will head towards deep water. So chances are the catfish will head towards deep water.
I didn't know that. Right, so that could work in his favour.
Yeah, it will.
Right.
Yeah. It's very rare a catfish will head towards a snag.
Right. It's an absolutely stunning bit of river, as you can see. What sort of depth have we got here underneath this boat now?
34 foot right now.
34 foot, that's in the middle. So we're going to present this out there. There isn't much flow here, but it's going to be a back lead job as well, isn't it?
Yeah, back lead, because we've got rowers and other boat users, so you've got to respect everyone else on the river, so we put a back lead on. Yeah.
So here we are. Where's the tree? Oh, is that right?
That's the tree. That fell in about 2 years ago.
Right.
And it's a big old tree. Yeah. So you can only see maybe half of it above the water. The other half is under the water.
Right.
So it's a paradise for catfish. They love it just hiding in the deep water in the snags.
You couldn't pick that out from other bank, could you? You couldn't see that.
No, no.
If you, you know, you can only find that by getting over it, can't you?
That's right. Yeah.
You can see them shady areas over there now. As that sun's going to be moving that way now, isn't it?
That's right, mate. It's going that way.
So the sun's going that way, so all this bank is increasingly going to be in the shade as well as the afternoon goes on.
So we're going to drop this rod in 24 foot of water.
Right. I gather you know this bit, that it's clear from, you know, the best place to drop it, I gather, don't you?
Yeah. I've had echo sounders, cameras down, so I know exactly how far the branches come down.
Right.
A bit of fizz in there.
I was going to say, I just spotted all them bubbles coming up there.
That'd be a carp, that.
Will it? Right.
Yeah, carp run.
Just dropping that on the bait runner.
Yeah, if it drops it an open bail arm, there's a chance of it could tangle on the way in.
Right.
Down.
So that's down, that's it, the deck now.
Yeah, I'm going to position the boat.
Not too close to that tree, but obviously close enough, for a bit of cover. We obviously want to have a chance.
We're going to head back to land now.
He's done this before. Just feeding the line off, or braid, is it?
Well, we're still on the lead. I've got a 70 pound mono leader.
70 pound mono leader, right.
And, it's 80 to 80 pound braid.
80 pound braid. I gather you need that braid, did you say that's because of stretch?
Yeah,
picking it up over such a long way.
Yeah. Sometimes, but it's not much flow at the moment. When there's a lot of flow, you need very minimal stretch, really.
Back to base, back in dock, almost done. Let's get this fastened on here. Just to pin it all down.
This is a 3 ounce back lead.
Okay.
And a paper clip.
On a paper clip, so that'll break free.
That'll break free if it hits the snag. And we'll just roll it down. We'll put it in deeper water.
So that's going to pin everything down out of the way, away from boat traffic and everything, and the flow as well, even though we haven't got much today. And then that's going on there, ready to scream off if we hook one. And that's it, trap set. It's back to a bit of shade now. I've still got the cat rod out, so what's actually going to happen is I've had a quick chat with Jim and just asked him what he uses here when he's trying to avoid the bream, when he's trying to target carp. He sticks to the maize basically, but he puts multiples on a much longer hair, and that's not something I've done. I've gone up to 2 pieces, but obviously the bream is still able to get, certainly those 2 and 3 pounders are still able to eat that sort of a bait. So I've just retreated to the tattle den where I've got all my hook tying gear here. The cat rod's still out, that's still right the way underneath that other bank. I'm going to tie up some longer hairs because the plan for today now is leave the cat rod out. I'm going to feed very, very heavy down this left hand margin that you've seen me feed before. I'm going to feed it with maize and only maize, and then I'm going to fish multiple pieces of maize on a longer hair tomorrow. Hopefully that'll deter the bream, and I'm going to feed that last thing just before I retire for the evening. And I will be back here very early tomorrow morning because that is ideally the best time to target these bigger carp. But the bream fishing is fantastic. I could get a bream every single cast, so that's what I'm going to do. That is the plan for now. So today it's been interesting to see that the specimen catfish gear go out there and how to present it out there, which is an amazing insight. And then I've done a little bit more research on how to feed for these carp, so I'm going to do that ready for tomorrow. And then I'm going to also put a bream line in tomorrow, a pretty much a catch anything type of a line tomorrow. So I will be going to bed early tonight. I'm going to get these rigs tied up, and I'm going to be up really early in the morning where I'm going to be targeting this margin exclusively for carp. Oh no, it's come off!
Oh, look at those bubbles, that's a big fish.
Well, good morning. It's the final day here in France. It's 7 o'clock, sunrise was 7:15. I fed this margin, this left hand margin, late yesterday. It was about 9 o'clock last night. There aren't any signs of fish down there. Whenever I've fed any sort of quantity of bait throughout the day here, you get fizzing, bubbling and all sorts, showing you that there's some fish there. There isn't any sign of any fish there. So I don't know if that's good or bad, because it might mean that the bream aren't there. I'm just going to give it the first hour down that margin, just see if we can pick off an early carp. It's been a red hot evening. The swelling on my eyes gone down a little bit from the mosquitoes where they got me. So I'm looking a little bit less like Elephant Man. But I've got a cup of coffee. I'm just going to get one rod out to start with and just give this margin an hour. And if we don't get anything from that, I've then got plan B, which is going to be to tackle somewhere in that open water later on during the day when it gets a little bit warmer. So all we've been doing is just hair rigging. Maize has been the best. Just a couple of pieces. I've got some really long hair rigs tied up. I've been fishing up to 4 and 5 at a time, which has deterred the bream, which is not a phrase I'm familiar with. But we can just put 2 bits of this maize on a hair like that, just for the speed stop. And that is actually sitting out there all right. There aren't bream there at the moment, mopping everything up, which is good because it's giving me a chance to actually fish it. Pop it off the front of that branch there, which is where all the bait went in last night. Just pop that on there while I enjoy a cup of coffee and enjoy watching the river. Make sure the drag's undone. That's it. This has been a really interesting week, this one for me. You know, the last few weeks have just been absolute chaos, what with work and matches as well. I've had quite a few, 1 or 2 big team events. I've hardly spent any time at home actually editing, and certainly no time actually producing videos, so this has just been a really nice just kind of getaway, slow things down. That's why I'm going to have this first hour. I've got the rod on the buzzer, just so I can just chill out for an hour, just have a cup of coffee. It's great just watching the water sometimes, you know. I've seen the odd fish moving. We haven't seen many fish crashing, to be fair. The carp and catfish haven't really been feeding that much through this really hot spell. But there have been the odd catfish caught, but very few carp, you know, and that's what I'm hoping to catch now. The bream are just everywhere on this river, and so we're going to see how this goes. I'm just going to give this an hour or so until that sun gets up. I think this might be the best chance for us getting a carp down this margin. If we don't get one, then I will be changing, but it's just going to be a nice just chill out hour next to the river, enjoy my cup of coffee. By that stage I think Dad might be up, so I'll have some breakfast with him. But it's been a really relaxing trip. This is what, you know, this is sometimes what we forget when we're stuck in match fishing all the time, to just go out and enjoy fishing. You know, you're not looking at your watch, you're not worried about if you've missed a bite, you're not worried if you should be catching quicker. It's just about enjoying, just, you know, being by the river. I'm just starting to get some indications now. There's 1 or 2 bubbles coming up. There weren't any bubbles there an hour ago. There's a few bubbles coming up. I'm getting indications on the tip. I've got a funny feeling that they're bream that have moved in. Look, see, that looks like it's on. Yes, and it is. I think it's going to be a skimmer. Oh, he's come off. Yeah, so it looks like the bream have moved in on that line. Just 1 bit of the maize gone. Well, the sun's just about up. It's up now. I've given that just over an hour down there. There are bubbles appearing there, and that was definitely, well, it definitely wasn't a carp. I would say it was a skimmer, not even a fully fledged bream, that one. So time to get the rest of my gear out and let's have a change of tact. I'm going to mix some of this up. I'm going to feed him much more conventional bream baits. Got some casters, got some worms, but I'm going to keep quite heavy gear on just in case we hook a big fish. So I'm going to be putting some worms through, but I'm going to keep a good size hook on so that I can fish with big chunks of worm, hopefully picking out better fish, being a little bit more selective. Also got some casters to go with them as well. which are here. These must be about a week old. These are well travelled. These are from what I carried with me for the National on Saturday. They'll do nicely. They've been these have been bagged up in a black bag, as you can see, which has kept them nice and in the fridge. So I'm going to be feeding plenty of these, some worm. I'll keep putting the odd bit of maize through, because obviously they're familiar with that. And that big hook I've got on will allow me to keep trying a piece of that on the hook. Well, we've got a bit of depth to play with here, believe it or not. This is a river, but there is virtually no flow whatsoever. Just like many rivers back home in England, the water levels are down, and it's obviously showing on the water levels and the flow of the river. So there's very, very little flow, if any. It's almost like toe. But what I will do is just give you an idea of what sort of depth we've got. That's a 30-gram bottle bomb, and all I'm going to be doing is just underarming it, just on the edge of these trees, edge of the shadow. Because we've got so much depth, there's, you know, I can't see any point in going, you know, too far out. But let me just have a quick check, just see what depth we've got here. I'll start the stopwatch there. That's a tiny bit closer than I'm actually going to be fishing, but let's see what we've got there. 8.3 seconds. Plenty of water there, you know, it's so deep. And I've actually had a camera down there as well. The bottom is really kind of, it's clean, very kind of almost sandy. So, you know, I think that's going to be the ideal spot to target. So I'm just going to focus all my bait there, the casters, the worms. I'll keep putting some maize in there as well. And I'm deliberately going to be fishing with a short hook length, because when I fished here like this on the first day, I did get lots of line bites because they were getting so many skimmers there, or so many bream there. You were getting liners, and it was difficult to distinguish what was a proper bite and what wasn't. So I'm going to kick off with a short hook length with worm on, and I'm just going to be fishing that with a plastic feeder because it's so deep. 30 gram just to get it down, and it's a side weighted plastic feeder just to, you know, to make sure that the bait's going to get to the deck. So to kick start the swim, I'm just going to put 4 of those in. That's the actual feeder that I'm actually going to be fishing with some worm and caster in, just to get some bait in there. I'm not going to fish clipped up. That's because there's a high chance of hooking something on here that's going to want to run. And obviously, while I'm turning round and talking and stuff to Dad and that, it just means that I can obviously, I don't have to worry about losing my rod. The kingfisher's very active this morning, so all I'm doing is just underarming that feeder to that spot there, and then just letting it fall straight down. I'm going to kick off with a nice chunky bait, proper chunky bits of worm there, just to get a feel for what's there. You can see how short that hook length is. Just a free running rig, that's all it is. That is a quick change, or an American snap link swivel. Okay, so I can change the feeder, and that's just stopped with the number 4 stopped, and that is it. So I'm just going to keep these casters going in, feed quite positive, pinch of chopped worm. I don't want to squeeze this ground bait in too tight. I want it to get to the bottom so that it's intact. But if we are going to get any early fish, then I want to make sure that that feed is actually going to be emptying right where it's landing and not on the way back. So I can just let that go straight down, not clipped up, so that's falling vertically. And then I've also got a butt rest here as well, as you can see, which is going to help grip the rod should we hook anything that wants to steam off out the peg. Just tighten up to that feeder. Like I said, in fact, look, there's a bite there straight away. Is that on? No. Something home straight in on that before I even had a chance to set the tip. So some fish, it looks as though they've homed straight in on that. What I'm going to do is almost slack line it and just try and make sure that the fish is on. It's a big hook, this one, so I want to make sure that they're on before we pick up. There are small fish in here as well. There are lots of little, I think they were like hybrids, or pommies if you want to call them that. Some people call them that. The small fish are there, going for that bit of ground bait. Look at them fizzing on the top there. They're small fish that are taking that bits of ground bait that are coming off the feeder when it hits the surface. There we go. Is he on? Must be. Yes, we've got him. I'm guessing they're going to be skimmers or bream initially, but Didn't have to wait long for his first fish. Yeah, it's a skimmer, that one. Or a small bream, as they say on the continent. Oops, there we go. They've got loads of energy, these. They are river fish, even though there's no flow. They are typical of river fish because they've got so much power. There you go, just hooked in the bottom lip there. Superb condition, aren't they? Maybe never been caught before. Let's get him back. I'm sure there are bigger ones out there. We'll see what happens as we start getting some bait in. We're going to stay positive with the feed today. Got loads of casters to use. We've got plenty of worms, and we've got fizzing out there already. Those are actually fish on the bottom that are fizzing. You see the little fish going straight for the bits of ground bait that are coming off the feeder. So many small fish in here, it's incredible. There we go. I bet that was a bass. They're all zander in here as well, but that might be on. Yep, that one's on. Yeah, chasing those little fish. Oh, that one's just come off, that one. That felt very similar to the last one, that one. Just going to keep these casters going in. We could air rig this, but I don't really want to go down that route now. Just going to hook it normally, hook the worm normally on this hook. It's a big hook anyway. Just look at those little fish going for the bits of ground bait coming off that feeder. Might be a sign I just need to pack it a little bit tighter, I think. This is obviously quite a bit coming off the feeder on impact. I wouldn't be surprised if one went straight to that. In fact, there is. Look, there we go. Oh, we've got it, but that's a small fish, this one. If we've got it. Look at that. What we got? Hybrid? Look at that. Nailed it straight away. Calm down, mate. Nailed it straight away. Off you go, mate. Definitely preferring this lively bait, which is a surprise, but that's what it's about in fishing, isn't it? We're always learning, always trying new things out. Let's put a full dendry on this time. There we go. Someone's gone straight to that again. Is that on? Let's have him. Yes, we've got him. Really nailing that. I mean, in this sort of depth, you'd expect the fish to be up in the water anyway. Oh, small bream. Definitely preferring that lively bait though. Just shows you how you can sit there with two pieces of worm and not catch. You put a full lively worm on and then nail it straight away. It's amazing how even these wild fish like this, how these, you know, fish like this can still be quite particular and fussy. You'd think, you know, on a venue like this, they'd mop up everything that you put in regardless, because, you know, they don't get that much food, especially worms and casters. Well, as this is our final day of the trip, I'm just going to mix it up now. Obviously, you've seen me catch with worm. Even when I put 4 or 5 casters on, I'm catching bream. Just going to fish this last couple of hours now. But I'm going to switch baits now. I'm going to switch. I've actually put a hair rig on, so I've got same size, same pattern of hook. Okay, on a hair rig. And all I'm going to do is I've actually got some cubed meat, so I'm going to switch to meat. We might continue catching bream, I don't know, and I've never heard anybody or any of the lads fishing with meat on here, so it's a bit of an unknown again, but that's exactly what this is all about. It's a random adventure. So I'm just going to fish with 2 pieces of cubed meat on. I can put bigger pieces on if I wish. I've got some longer hairs tied up there, so I've got some more meat in here, and this meat's already cubed. So all I'm going to do is I've just put 1 feeder full in with about 6 pieces of meat in, so there's already 1 feeder full gone in, and I'm just going to feed that many in the feeder. We might continue to catch bream, but we don't know. We might catch something of a different species. Kept that short hook length, as you can see, and this should be very interesting, I think, especially with a hair rig as well, because I'm hoping that any pulls are obviously, you know, the fish is going to hook itself with it being a hair rig. Still loads of little fish out there. Look at that, going for those bits of ground bait coming off the feeder. This will be interesting to see what happens. Yes, that one's on. just kept a nice slack line just to try and make sure it's a free running rig anyway, so, and obviously it's air rigged. Definitely better fish on the meat though, not getting as many indications, but when you get one obviously the air rig's doing its job. Well, my cat rods have remained motionless, unfortunately. It was interesting to see how Jim sets these up, you know, and it's something I'm really looking forward to trying next time I'm here. I've had the odd beep, but nothing's really developed. Jim has shown me the way, and he's not only caught one catfish, but he's actually gone and caught two. He did lose one, but he had this one first, which was the smallest of the brace. Fantastic fish, and in the heat of the day, there's no wonder he'd got a bit of a sweat on, and then he went and did even better and caught this one that we think, well, we didn't actually weigh this one, but it was easily over 140 pounds. We don't know exactly what it weighed, but it just shows that, you know, these tactics really are spot on for these cats at this time of year. But yeah, it's been a real eye-opener.
Oh, look at those bubbles, that's a big fish. Ho, 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 ho. Yes, look at that, what a fish. Oh, look how dark it is as well. There's my bait hanging on.
Well, that's the van loaded up for the long journey home. It's about 40 degrees now. The mosquitoes are out. This has been an incredible trip. It's certainly something that I will be coming and doing again. I am fortunate enough to be coming back here again, and that will actually be in April, so we're going to see the temperatures are going to be different and the condition of the river is going to be different as well. I'm obviously going to be coming with some bigger baits next time where I can target the carp and catfish, and I'm going to be bringing some gear for tackling that far bank as well, so I can't wait to get back here. It's been a very interesting experience. I hope you've enjoyed it. This has been the first ever series of the Random Adventures, and if you've enjoyed it, please give this one a thumbs up. Please let me know below in the comments, and I really look forward to seeing you next time.